OG Zofia is back, Jager's a 3-speed again, Wamai has the Nitro Cell, and a bunch of other buffs, which are absolutely insane. Welcome to the Year 11 Season 2.2 mid-season patch. There's a lot coming in this update, including native mouse and keyboard support for consoles, where you can plug it straight into your PS5 or Xbox, and you'll be placed with PC players in the PC lobbies. I'm not going to dwell too much on the mouse and keyboard support thing, because we've already talked about that multiple times. But yes, you can now natively play mouse and keyboard on console. Don't worry, if you're a controller player, you'll still be in separate lobbies. So let's jump straight into these patch notes. Drop a like if you haven't already, sub since we're trying to hit 250k. And the first thing in these patch notes is actually about the 1v1 playlist. Yes, the 1v1 playlist will return with this patch, and as well as this, Ubisoft have made a bunch of quality of life updates to this mode to make it, well, better than it was before. To begin with, the map pool has been changed. The map pool now has the addition of Coastline, Consulate, and Outback, and House has been removed. Matchmaking has been tweaked to better reflect the skill of the players, meaning that you're going to have more fair games, and a bunch of settings have been changed. Firstly, operator bans are no longer in the mode, rather it is now operator attrition. This was one of my biggest feedbacks of the mode. So what operator attrition is when you play an operator in one round, they will be locked the following rounds. Basically, it means that you can only play an operator once, forcing you to diversify your options. Monty, Blitz, Clash, and Blackbeard are also all locked, so no shields are allowed. The prep phase has now been shortened to 15 seconds, down from 30. This next change is my favorite one. Objective sites are now revealed at the beginning of the round, so you don't need to drone the entire map to find where the bomb site is. The game will tell you where the bomb site is. And finally, the reinforcement pool has been reduced to 6 from 10. So basically, the entire mode has just been sped up. They've made it way faster than it was before, revealing where the bomb sites are, and also adding operator attrition. Who knows, maybe one day we'll actually get 1v1 as a permanent mode, but these are great quality of life changes for the modes. Right, let's get into the operator balancing. The first one is going to be another tweak to Dokkaebi. Now, I don't want to say it's blatantly a nerf. There is a cooldown change where her cooldown of her gadget is now 14 seconds, up from 7, so that is a nerf. However, this next one is more of a tweak. The cooldown is now per target. So, in its current state, the cooldown is applied to every operator. Meaning, if you call Jager, you have to then wait the duration to then call Wamai, for example. Now, the cooldown is going to be target-based, meaning the duration between calling Jager, then calling Jager again, is going to be longer than the duration from calling Jager, then Wamai, if that makes sense. Basically, the cooldown is to prevent spamming of one person. You're still going to be able to call multiple people over a period of time, but the cooldown is going to be applied to single operators, so she can still call a bunch of people in the space of, you know, a given moment, but it can't be the same person repeatedly, if that makes sense. Based on their wording, I now assume that that means you can do back-to-back calls once again. This is an assumption here, but obviously it has to be different operators. Which honestly is a pretty good rebalance in my opinion, because this isn't a blatant nerf, and you're sort of tweaking stuff from the last patch. Right, Wamai has had an absolutely huge buff. Firstly, his charge update frequency is now 20 seconds, down from 40. What that basically means is you're going to be getting your magnets double the time that you were before. They've just halved that timer, so you get a magnet every 20 seconds instead of 40 seconds as it was before. As well as this, he now has 7 magnets, up from 6, so he has an extra magnet, and as well as this, the activation time is now 0.5 seconds, down from 1.5. That's an absolutely insane buff to his magnets. They recharge faster, he has an extra one, and they also activate faster. Well, they're not done with Wamai yet. He now has a deployable shield, and they're replacing his impact grenades with nitro cell. Someone on the balancing team absolutely loves Wamai. They've just buffed his gadget and buffed his loadout. There's not a single nerf here. To some people, maybe the loss of impact nades is a nerf to them, but he's getting the deployable shield as a third option, and then the impact nades are being replaced with C4. I think that's an infinitely better kit, especially for Wamai. And you have to remember as well, Wamai has the super shorty as well. So that's site setup, plant denial. You've got the like area position holding with the deployable shield. I can't think of the term for some reason. And like, just imagine that elbow on Oregon, and you've also got the buffed magnets as well. Like, this is an insane buff for Wamai. That's absolutely incredible. Well, Wamai isn't the only anti-projectile defender getting a buff. Jager is now a 3-speed once again. Yes, just like he was all those years ago, Jager 3-speed is back. Now, not only is he now a 3-speed again, they are reducing the recoil on his 416, which is his main weapon, and some people have had issues with this weapon for a while. So for vertical, they've reduced vertical recoil on all burst stages. This is on mouse and keyboard and controller, by the way. This is across the entire game. Horizontal has smooth and lateral recoil on all burst stages, and the hardest part of the recoil will now start on bullet 10 instead of 8, meaning the recoil evolution has been softened. So pretty much in layman's terms, the gun is just better across the board. It's got better vertical recoil, better horizontal recoil, and the recoil itself doesn't get harder until a later stage than it currently does. So this gun is just going to be like absolutely insane. We have OG Jager back. 3-speed, insane 416. This is crazy. I do wonder if we'll ever see the speed and armor changes, which Ubisoft tested on the testing grounds, which kind of changed how speeds and health worked and everything like that. So I wonder if that'll ever actually come through. And I always just think of that when I see these buffs, like, you know, with Zofia 2.2 and now Jager 3.1 again, just like he was all those years ago. The glory days of 3-speed Jager is back. I think a lot of people are absolutely going to love this one. I would say that Wamai's buff is way more significant than Jager's here, but I think Jager's one is definitely more you know, fan favored. Like, I think a lot of people are going to love 3-speed Jager, and then of course people are going to love Wamai as well. Jager does have that bit of legacy to it with that change as well, but you know, that's an incredible buff for both Wamai and for Jager. Like, this is one of the biggest anti-projectile buffs in a very long time. That's a massive buff to both of those operators. Well, Zofia's buff is here. We knew she was going to be getting a substantial buff this season. It could have been one of two things, and it was one of two things. And the thing that it isn't withstand. It's not withstand, but what they've done is that Zofia now has 3 impact grenades and 3 concussion grenades. This is actually what she used to be like all the way back when she launched as well. Now, for some people who aren't as methodical players, you may not see this as a substantial buff as you were once hoping. I know some of you probably thought it was going to be withstand or something like that. But if you are an OG player like myself who knew Zofia in her glory days, we are kind of back to Zofia's glory days. We've had reduced recoil on her weapon as of recent updates. She now has hard breach charges. She now has 3 of both of her gadgets, so that's 6 projectiles in total, and she's a 2-2 again. Like, this is like OG Zofia. The only thing she doesn't have is withstand. That's perfectly fine. She's still a very competent operator without withstand. This is actually a more significant buff than withstand would have been anyway. And that's kind of crazy. 3 concussion nades and 3 impact nades. The 3 impact nades especially is absolutely massive. I feel like Zofia is now going to be a staple of pro league attacks and high ranking attacks. Zofia was always a staple of these, you know, big high level teams, and especially in ranks as well. And then when they nerfed her, they were always clamoring for operators to fill that role. And that's when we went through that era of a bunch of operators trying to fit the role which Zofia held. So I think it's good that Zofia is back to where she is. Well, that's absolutely crazy. Brava has seen another buff on top of the buff she got last season. The dumb panel cooldown is now 1 second down from 3. So that means how many dumb panels you can shoot consecutively. You had to wait 3 seconds every time you shot a dumb panel. It is now 1 second, so you can just deploy them even faster. This is an already incredible buff on top of the incredible buff she got with the dumb panels last season as well. So now you can just deploy them consecutively more faster as well. These are insane buffs. Like, I am in awe reading this patch note. Macie has received a buff as well. Her banshees now have an increased area of effect to 4.3 meters, which is up from 4, so an increase of 0.3. Now, this is a little bit of a double-edged sword if you think about it, because although the banshee will now catch attackers 0.3 meters more than it could before, that also means that attackers can destroy the banshee, because obviously it opens up, then becomes vulnerable, 0.3 meters more than they could before. So technically what that means is that at a greater distance, attackers can, you know, expose that banshee and destroy it further away from the bomb site than they could before. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword if you think of it that way. Because if an attacker is pushing a doorway, they're going to hit the banshee regardless. You're actually allowing them to hit it at a further distance, meaning they have more of a period to destroy it. So yes, it's a buff to the banshee, but if you use your noggin, it's kind of a buff to the attacker. Twitch's shock drones have received a buff. Their laser recharge fill timer is now 28 seconds, down from 30, so a decrease of 2 seconds. And finally, Legion's goo mines will now have a refill time of 25 seconds, down from 30, so a decrease of 5 seconds. So across the board, all a bunch of buffs. Even Dokkaebi, who did have a slight nerf, it's more of a rebalance if we're being honest. And I do want to specify these are early notes which have been provided by Ubisoft. Some things may change before the official notes also come out today. Maybe there'll be some additions. There were some additions last time which I didn't get to see in these versions of the notes, but for the most part, it seems like these are all going to go through exactly how they are presented here. Oh, and also they did confirm at the community checkpoint that there is going to be a bunch of voice chat issues fixed in this patch as well. So overall, absolutely insane patch notes. OG Zofia is back. OG Jager is back. We now have like Wamai 2.0 and just like better changes as well for like Rawer, Malusi, Twitch, and Legion. Like, this is an absolutely phenomenal patch. This might actually be our best mid-season patch so far, in my opinion. Just for like the amount of diversity of operators which have gotten a buff here. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Let me know which is your favorite part of this patch, and sub if you haven't already. Have an incredible rest of your day. I love you all. Stay safe. Have a good one.